Hello.
Hello, teacher.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, good morning.
Hello, alum. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm pretty good.
Has your day been a good day? Let's see. Yes, okay. It's a big mug. Yes, lots of coffee. uh, I drink my coffee black. No cream, no sugar, just coffee. While you're while we're waiting to begin class, you might want to look at this website, the APA Style Guide. I don't know what Hue University recommends that students use for writing, but this is the style guide that my university, Georgia State University, recommended that we use. Um, we're going to be talking about style guides today. So if you want to explore this website, You can just go to Google and do APA style, or you can go to apastyle.apa.org. This is the American Psychological Association. Um, you can get this as a book, or you can sign up for it online. Um, you can see all of their different books. But if you want something to do while you're waiting for us to begin, you might want to go to this website and just look around. This is not to be confused with the Associated Press style guide. Associated Press is used for writing news articles. Um, American Psychological Association, which you can see up here, is very different. It's usually used for academic writing. And others. So, good evening to you all. It's morning where I am in Atlanta. Um,
Good morning, Jack.
Shinchao. While we're waiting to begin class, you might want to look at this website, the APA style website, or the American Psychological Association style guide website. But you definitely want to ask your professors which style guide they recommend, because your professors will have a preference, and you want to ask them which style guide that they recommend. Sometimes the entire university will recommend a particular style guide. We're going to talk about style guides today. It looks like it's going to rain in Atlanta today. And they're talking about thunderstorms. So if for some reason my computer turns off, it's because of lightning and thunderstorms. So I will apologize in advance, just so that you know. I'm here, but sometimes we lose power. There are many trees in Atlanta. Atlanta is a city of many trees. And when it rains very hard, it does rain very hard in the spring here. And when it does, sometimes those trees fall or limbs fall, and it um, falls on the power lines, and then we lose power. Sometimes we lose power for days. Um, and it's a problem here. So just if for some reason I drop off, it's because of the rain and the thunderstorm and the lightning and power outages.
Yeah, the weather in here is a little bit hot right now.
Oh, okay. Do you measure temperature in Celsius or Fahrenheit? And what is the temperature in Hue?
Is the temperature in here? I think is about 23 degree, I guess.
23?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Celsius degree.
All right. Well, I'm going to share this with you in just a minute. Um, okay, this is our weather forecast for today. So it looks like our high, this is in Fahrenheit. It's going to be the high of 76 and a low of 61. And it looks like the rain is going to come in later today, so maybe not now. That's good.
So how the weather in Atlanta affect your life?
Well, we lose power more than we should, because there are so many trees in Atlanta that when we have bad weather, the trees will fall or limbs will fall, and they will fall on the power lines. And sometimes we have no electricity for hours. And sometimes for days, we don't have power. There's so many trees in Atlanta that the power company has to, all year long, they have to go around looking for problems with trees and power lines. But when we have a thunderstorm, a rainstorm, or if we have snow or ice, then those trees fall, and they fall on the power lines, and it knocks out power for thousands of people for a long time, and they have to work very hard to cut cut the trees, remove the trees, fix the power lines. But I love Atlanta because of the trees. I love trees. Trees are beautiful. We have lots of different kinds of trees. I will take a picture for you during the break and show you one kind of tree that's blooming right now. Um, but we have so many trees. We're blessed with trees, but that blessing becomes a curse sometimes when we have bad weather. So if for some reason you don't see me anymore, it's because we had a lightning strike or something that that made me lose power. It happens a lot in Atlanta, more than it should.
I think is very terrible, especially when winter coming, right?
Hmm. Yes, especially when we have ice. You know, when we have an ice storm. Do you have ice storms there? Does it snow in Hue?
Yeah, in Vietnam, there is just few areas have snow, but
Hmm.
not in a big city. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, in
in a
Atlanta,
rural city, in a rural area.
in the north,
Yes, the very north.
yeah.
Some.
Okay. Well, Atlanta is in the south of the United States, but we do have snow and we do have ice. And when we do, it's a very big problem. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna search. I'm looking at weatherunderground.com and I'm gonna look at your weather. Oh, it's taking me to Ethiopia. I don't want to go to. Let's just go to Vietnam and see if it'll. No. Ah. Okay. Let me go to Hanoi. No, it's not. Ah. Wow. Ah. Well, I guess this app won't take me to Vietnam. Huh. How about Ho Chi Minh City? Oh, oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. It it looks like we're somewhere in your neighborhood here. Do you recognize this city?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this near you or not?
It's my.
Vinh City is near Hanoi City.
Oh, okay. So this is in the
Yeah,
north.
rather than Hue City.
Okay. This is in the north. This is the closest I could get to you. All right. It looks like that Vin City is in for some rain today. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop sharing that. Hello, everyone. Oh, good. Somebody has put a lot of stuff in chat. Um, Vietnamese coffee can be very strong, so I'll stick with my cream. Okay, good. Okay. APA style from this is from KT. KT uses APA style and got a oh because the professor said you should have MLA, should have used MLA. Okay. Um, okay, use Celsius. Okay. All right. I see somebody sent me, a link to a website for AccuWeather. Okay. Well, good. Thank you. Thank you for all of that. Okay. Well, we will talk about style guides today. But to begin, I would like to play a Kahoot just to have some fun and to also play the, excuse me, to play the game that we played earlier, just to see if you have learned something about expressing your opinions. So let's go to Kahoot just for a few minutes. And let me see, let me make sure that I'm sharing sound. Yeah, okay. All right, everybody, if you want to join Kahoot, we're going to just review or play this game again to see how well you learned from the first time we played this game. It's about giving your opinion. So if you want to join us, homie. All right. Sugar. All right. Snow. All right. Baby. Jellyfish. Flower. Okay. Okay. Oh, we got lots of players. That's good. That's great. I see we have Coffee Addict. That would be me too. Okay, well, I'm going to begin. You can still join. The number will be in the bottom right corner of the screen. So you can still join even after we start. We have 77 players right now. I'm going to go ahead and get started. You can still see the number in the bottom right corner. Okay, just a little too loud. We should make healthcare cheaper. Okay, most people got that right. I think we should make healthcare cheaper. Yeah, the other answers don't work. Only think works. All right, Haru. My is that we have to improve immigration. Okay, most people got it. My opinion is that we have to improve immigration. All right, Lam. We to protect the environment. Excellent. Okay. Almost everybody got that one. We have to protect the environment. When you use this word have, when you use it to mean must, usually we pronounce it when you use it to mean must, because we say we have to. We have to, not have, not voiced, but have. We have to. Or just a lot of people will say we have to. Okay. All right. Lam, Mun, Rian, Emily, and Chan. We stop school shootings. We must. Yeah. The only answer that works here is must. If you use have or need, you would need the word to. And here we have just one word. So that one word would be we must stop school shootings. Okay. All right. I think we stop deportations. How do you spell it? Oh, good. Okay. Should. I know English is crazy, but that is pronounced should. All right. Here we go. I think schools reopen yet. The virus is too dangerous. Shouldn't. Shouldn't is a contraction for should not. When you say the virus is too dangerous, you're saying that, you know, it's too dangerous so that you should not reopen. And then that contraction is shouldn't. And the end of that word comes out of your nose, shouldn't. Okay. College is too expensive. I think we should the costs. Wow, you guys are fast. That's good. 78 answers. Okay. All right. I think we should reduce the costs. Reduce, make them go down. All right. My opinion is that better gun control will more murders. Will prevent more murders. You know, that is a real problem in the United States, and we're struggling to fix that problem, but we still have a lot of work to do. Okay. So my opinion is that we need to have better gun control too. Okay. All right. We should tolerance and be kind to each other. There are two correct answers here. We should encourage tolerance and we should promote tolerance. So many of you got both of those correctly. You don't want to stop tolerance. Tolerance is a good thing. You don't want to reduce tolerance because tolerance is a good thing. Tolerance is a way of saying, well, maybe I don't have the same opinion as you, but it's okay if you have your opinion. Okay, maybe I don't have the same religion as you, but it's okay if you have your religion. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to have the same belief as the other person. It just means that you can tolerate. So tolerate is the verb and tolerance is the noun. Okay. All right. In her job, she to promote international relations. Make sure you see the word to. She has to. And when you use this word to mean must, you pronounce it has. She has to. Okay. At home, you wear a mask.
Don't have to. Tao ngồi cho chị nhận cái thuê bến này này.
At home, you don't have to wear a mask. Yeah, okay, good. Rian, all right. He have to wear a mask?
Rồi bây giờ lại. Mày giàu hả? Một cất ạ.
Does he have to wear a mask?
Này nó đừng phải chúng ta mà.
Does he have to? You wash your hands. There can be more than one right answer. There are two correct answers. You should wash your hands often or you should wash your hands frequently. Both are correct. All right. My opinion is that we the minimum wage. We need more money. There's one correct answer here. We should increase the minimum wage. There are two blanks, so we need two words. We should increase the minimum wage. All right. We to make learning English it's very difficult. Notice the word to here. We have to make learning English easier. It's very difficult. Okay, we have to make it easier. E-A-S-I-E-R. Change the Y to an I when you say easier. All right. That's my that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Yeah, my opinion. All right. So if you learn something from this, you are a winner. Just you know, they make the winners in Kahoot. If you answer really fast, you get more points. I don't care about fast, but I just hope that you are learning something about expressing your opinions. But let's see who got a lot of right answers really fast. Okay, well, Lam, Rai, and Rian, all right, did very well. Now let's see how did everybody feel about this one. Tell me how you felt about that game. Did you learn something? Do you recommend it? How did you feel? Okay, we have a little bit of, in the feeling, we have a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. Oh, we have quite a bit of yellow. Okay. Um, by the way, if you ever want to tell me about how you feel, um, remember that my email is okay. I'm going to put this in chat. My email is johnbutler3618@comcast.net. Oh, okay. Some of you had problems joining. All right. Okay. Well, everybody, I just want to make sure that you have the right vocabulary for expressing your opinions. Now, what I'd like to do is I would like to talk to you about style guides. And so one of the things, the way I'd like to start that is by showing you the APA style guide, which is the one that I used when I got my master's degree in ESL. So this is the APA style guide, and note that it is the American Psychological Association. So this is what I used in the United States. Now you may have a Vietnamese style guide. I'm not sure, but if you're writing in English, I'm going to show you some of the style guides that I have used. I have been a professional writer and instructional designer, tech writer and instructional designer since about 1996. So I am an older person. I'm older than you, and now everything is online. Okay, and you can see that this APA style guide is online. But when I started writing, we had to buy books, and we had to pay money and buy books and read from books. Things are different now, but I wanted to show you, since I can. Okay, so you can see the APA style guide online here. You can see that it is, let's see, I will, somebody's making a lot of noise. If you're not talking, please mute. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put this in chat. This is the link to the APA style guide, and that's my email address. Yeah, anytime you want to tell me what you like or don't like about the class, please email it to me. I would like to get your feedback. Okay. In the United States, we say the customer is king and you are the customer. So you are the king. And my job is to help you. All right.
No, we are a queen.
Okay, you're the queen. Yes. Okay. We don't usually say the customer is queen, but you can change that if you want. You can say, okay, so you are the queens then. All right. uh, all right.
Kidding.
I like kidding. That's good. That's great. That's wonderful. Kidding is good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me see, I'm not sharing anymore, am I? Okay, I'm going to close some websites. I'm going to close that. And I'm going to, okay, so some of you didn't feel so good about that game. If you would email me why you didn't like it, I can maybe make it better. Okay. I'm just doing, I'm closing some websites so that my computer will act better. Okay. All right. So now I'm not sharing. So I'm going to start just showing you some books since I'm an old dude and I have books. Like most of you, do all of your reading online, but I have books. I have lots of books, and I like books. I like to take a book and go outside and read, and that's just
I like
my.
reading book too.
Do you? Okay, good. Then
Yeah.
we have the same opinion. Then that's good. Okay, so I'm going to show you some books, and I hope that you can see it. Okay. This is the MLA. All the books I'm going to show you today are style guides, just so that you can see how many different ones there are, because um, your professors asked me to talk to you about different kinds of writing, because you're going to go and you're going to write in English and you're going to do that in lots of different places. So different places will want you to use different style guides. So this is the MLA handbook. And my books are old. They're not too old, but they're still, they're not, 2021, because I bought them years ago. But a lot of universities will want you to use the MLA style guide. And this is what it looks like. And notice that it is um, the fourth edition. So it's probably old now. There's probably later editions, but you want to ask your professors what do you just say, what do you want, which style guide do you want me to use when I write? And if they say MLA, this is what it looks like. Okay, MLA stands for the Modern Language Association, and you can find it online. MLA online, MLA handbook or MLA style guide. Okay.
Do you have the PDF?
No, I don't. But you can just Google it. Okay. If you Google MLA handbook, it will um, take you to the place online where you can find it. Like I said, I bought these books years ago. I've been a professional writer since 1996. And back in 1996, you had to buy books. You couldn't get everything online. So that's why I have so many old books. Okay. Another good reference that I like is the Greg reference manual. Greg, G-R-E-G-G. I use this in business, and this manual will tell you things that other manuals don't help you with. So I find the Greg reference manual to be very helpful, and I'm sure you can find this online. It's a spiral bound, so it's easy to use. It's easy to open, and it's a good. I recommend it. So if you want something for business, this is good. It's not the Greg manual. A lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people have never heard about this. So if you talk about this with your friends, they're probably going to say, "What? I've never heard of that." Okay. But it's good. I like it. Okay, now this is a style guide that a lot of people do know about. It is the Chicago Manual of Style. And the color is orange. Okay, a lot of people recognize this book just because it's orange. And just so that you can see how thick it is, okay, it's a big, heavy book. So it has lots of good advice. And many, many people in the United States use the Chicago Manual of Style. And if you ask somebody, well, what style guide do you use? They'll just say Chicago. Of course, Chicago is a city in the United States, and it comes from the University of Chicago. But this is a very well-respected style guide in the United States, the Chicago Manual of Style. Now, I worked for many years at CDC. Let me see if I can. Let me share this with you real quick. Okay, I'm sure that you have heard of CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, because they help people with health problems all over the world. And the headquarters for CDC is here in Atlanta, Georgia, where I live. And so I worked for CDC for many years. And so I had to get a style guide that CDC recommended. And since the people who work at CDC are health scientists, they asked me to use this style guide. So if you are working in the healthcare field, you'll want to use the AMA Manual of Style, the American Medical Association. Okay, just so you can see. And it's very big and thick and heavy also. But people will say, yeah, use the AMA Manual of Style, American Medical Association. Okay, so I don't know what profession you're going to go into, but if you are writing, you're going to go, if you're going to be a writer, then you have to adapt a style guide that suits your profession. So if you go into the field of healthcare or medicine, like some of you might want to be nurses or doctors or medical technicians, if you are writing, you probably want to use, if you're writing in English, then you probably want to use the AMA Manual of Style. Okay. Now, if you thought that was big, this is the big mama of them all. Okay. This one is really big and heavy. This is Stedman's Medical Dictionary. So this is not a style guide. This is a dictionary, but if you need to know what a medical term means, you can use Stedman's to figure out the meaning of the word. Okay, you know, there are lots of words in medicine that I don't understand. Um, for example, uh, hypocomplimentic. I don't know what hypocomplimentic means, but I can look it up here in this dictionary. Okay. Anyway, you can see how big and heavy this thing is. Okay. I could probably get some exercise by using this dictionary. But this is called Stedman's. And this is what CDC recommends that we use when we're looking up words to see what they mean. Okay, so that's not a style guide, but just so that you know, different professions prefer different style guides. So wherever you go, and you know what, some companies, some corporations have their own style guide. And I worked for many different American companies. And when I would go into the company, I would always ask, well, what style guide should I use, or where's your style guide? And when I was working for companies, you know, in about the year 2000, a lot of those companies were what's called startups. I'm going to put it in chat. If a company is a startup, it means it's a brand new company. It's a new company that, like, they don't have any traditions, they don't have any history. So sometimes they don't know exactly what they're doing. When you work for a startup, it's very interesting because they will ask you, you know, like one time I started a job and I said, I was talking to the vice president of the company and I said, what would you like for me to do? And he said, Jack, I don't know. I want you to go and figure out what to do and do it. So I said, very good. I like that.
So you need to do a lot of things, right?
Yes. And I was working in the marketing department as a writer. And so they had lots of writing needs. And so when I asked what style guide should I use, they went, I don't know. Why don't you write one for us, Jack? And so I did. I wrote a style guide for that startup company. And what I did was I just said, when you come to this situation, use this writing style. And so I just borrowed ideas from all of the different style guides, and they liked it, and everybody was glad to have something that they could turn to say, when I get in this situation, what should I do? So you will find that just like people have different opinions about lots of different things, people have different opinions about food, people have different opinions about politics, people have different opinions about religion, and people have different opinions about style guides and words and the way you do things. And that's why we need more tolerance in the world. It's like, maybe I don't do things the same way that you do, but it's okay if you do that. All right. But when it comes to writing, and if you're writing for an organization, the organization should have an opinion about how to write. Okay. And at CDC, it was very important because the communications from CDC go out to the whole world. And by the way, let me show you something about CDC. If you go to their website, go to the home page, it's cdc.gov, gov for government, cdc.gov. And if you go to the homepage and go all the way down, by the way, this is Atlanta right here. This is where I live. This is the headquarters in Atlanta. And if you go all the way down to the bottom of the page, look at this. You can actually read the website in Vietnamese and all these other languages as well. Okay. So that's good to know, right? Because CDC is an excellent organization based on science, and the only thing they want to do is help people stay healthy. So if you need information about staying healthy, you can go to cdc.gov and you can read it in English, or you can read it in Vietnamese, or maybe you can, use it to help you learn some English if you're writing about healthcare. All right, so this is um, there's lots and lots of information here, not just about coronavirus, but all kinds of things. And here it says even more. Okay, so you can go see even more down here. All right, I'm going to go back to the home page. Okay, there's lots of things here. If you're going to travel, and if you want to see, like, what do I need if I'm going to travel to a particular country, you can look and see. Where are you going? Okay, I'm going to I'm going to Vietnam. I'm going from the United States to Vietnam. Go. What does it say? Okay, it tells me here's a map of Vietnam, COVID-19 travel information. Okay, so this is a very helpful website. I won't waste your time with all this because you can do this yourself, but just know that there's lots of information on this website that can help you stay healthy. And the headquarters is here in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. All right, now let's talk about the wonderful work that you've been doing. I have really been enjoying reading your essays. And let me share that with you now. Okay. Are there any questions about style guides or any of the things I was talking about this morning?
No, teacher.
Okay. Well, if you have a question, you can put it in chat or you can email it to me, either one. Or you can just turn your mic on and ask a question. Okay, I'm going to make this bigger now so that okay. Here's a sentence. In a recent study indicate that young people felt lonely. Okay, well, that doesn't work. And here's what I recommend. I recommend that you say a recent study indicates, because you would, if you replace study with a pronoun, it would be it. So you need indicates with an S. So it indicates, or a study indicates. Or you could say, whoops, in a recent study, researchers indicated, okay? So this is a subject verb disagreement. The subject and the verb do not agree. It needs an S. A recent study indicates. Okay, are you familiar with that term, subject verb agreement? That's considered a very serious writing error. If your subject and verb don't agree, people will think that either you were being sloppy or you didn't proofread, or that you don't know grammar, which is so you want to be very careful with subject verb agreement. Okay, so you could say a recent study indicates that, or you could say in a recent study, researchers indicated. And like I was saying earlier, it's best to be specific about who said what, because if you said researchers at the University of Hue, that's better. If you said in a 2020 study at the University of Hue, researchers said, that's even better. And then if you were to cite your reference and point people to a place where they could go view that study online, that is best. Okay, so I did share with you a paper that I wrote at the university that has a bibliography so that you could see. I followed the APA style guide because that's what my professors wanted. That's what my university wanted, was the APA style guide. So you can see how I cited my um, my work in the bibliography. So if you go to the very end of the document that I shared with you about um, my standard American English, and of course, the irony of the title of my paper is that there is no standard American English. And I say so in the paper. So that's kind of like, That's why I had so much fun writing that paper. But people will try to tell you, oh, there is a standard American English. Well, there's not. Okay. And many, many experts will tell you that there are many varieties of American English, but there is not just one standard. Um, there, like opinions, everybody has an opinion about how to say something. Let me give you a few very quick examples. Okay, everybody, look in chat. And how do you say that word? And I will tell you that there are two different ways to say that in the United States. Okay, many Americans say economics, economics, but other Americans say economics, economics. Okay, economics, economics. Okay, let's take something very common. Okay, if in the days when you used to mail letters to people, you would put your letter in this. How do you pronounce that word? Okay, some people say envelope, envelope, and other people say envelope, envelope. Okay, it's an opinion. And I think I say both. I don't, like, I can't even tell what I say sometimes. All right.
So, Jack, I have a question.
Yes.
So, uh, economics is adjective, right? So why
No, it's
you
a noun.
a
It's a
noun?
noun. It's a
A
noun.
noun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can say, I study economics or I study economics. Now, without the S, it becomes an adjective. What is the economic outlook? But with an S, it is a noun. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the sea that Cuba is in, some people call that the Caribbean, and some people call it Caribbean. So there are many words in English that have pronunciations where people have opinions. Okay, so just be tolerant. Okay. Um, and there's even a song about this word. Okay. Everybody, how do you say that word? In the United States, we usually say,
Tomato.
yeah, in the United States, we say tomato, tomato. In England, they'll say tomato, tomato, okay? And there is even a song, and the song goes like this. You say tomato, and I say tomato. So
So it depends on the area that people live or another cost.
it depends on where you live and what your preferences are. Okay. And it it is sometimes it upsets people if they're not tolerant. But if you are tolerant, you will not be so upset. But if I were to go to a grocery store in Atlanta and say, I want a tomato, they would look at me like, oh, well, the tomatoes are over there. Okay. But if I were to go to London and say, I want a tomato, they'd say, well, the tomatoes are there. Okay. So what you have to realize is there is not one English. There are many different varieties of English, and there are many different pronunciations of words. And just get used to it. Don't get bent out of shape. Okay. As people say, don't get upset. Don't get bent out of shape just because somebody doesn't say the word the same way that you do. Okay. Uh, there's lots of different ways in English to say don't get upset. Don't get bent out of shape is just one of them. Some of them are a little bit more interesting than others. Okay, let's go back to your essays. Okay, so um, this doesn't work. Just make sure that you have subject verb agreement. You make sure that you have subject verb agreement. Otherwise, people are going to not have a very high opinion of your writing. Okay, this next one is not a sentence. How to overcome the feeling of loneliness? There is no subject. So that's even a more serious mistake than in the first sentence. So if there's no subject, it can't be a sentence. A sentence has to have a subject and a verb. Otherwise, it's not a subject. Okay, and it says the following essay will discuss that. I would eliminate that whole sentence because why even say that sentence? The following essay will discuss that. Those are just empty words. It doesn't mean anything. There's no information there. I mean, it does say that this essay is going to be about that, but you've already asked the question. So why tell me that your essay is going to be about this? Um, tell me something that I can use. So I would just say, make sure that um, you're not just adding words to add words. You want your words to inform the reader and give new information. Okay. Um, I know what it's like to be a student because I was recently a student at the university. And, the professor says, I want you to write an essay. And the students will always say, how many words? Okay, right? You want to know how many words, professor? And the professor will say, well, you know, um, you be the judge of that. But the students will say, well, what is the minimum number of words that you want? And so the professor will say, well, you know, at least 1,000 words or something like that. They'll give some number. And then what you do is you go and you write and write and write and you check how many words is that. Okay.
That
But
is really true.
yes, it is really true. And I know it because I was a student 2 years ago and I had to write those papers. And you can see I sent you one of the papers that I wrote. And I I don't have trouble writing. I like to write. And so I know everybody's not like me and some people really don't like to write, but you don't want that to show. You don't want your professor to say, "Oh, this person doesn't like to write." So don't put sentences in your essays that are uh, fluff. Do you know that word? fluff is like maybe something that you would do with your pillow. You would fluff your pillow. Or if you add fluff to food, maybe you're putting in something that has no nutritional value, that is just, it's not going to feed you, but it will add body to the food or something. But when you're writing an essay, fluff means empty words, words that don't really help the reader. So be careful. Avoid adding fluff to your writing. Okay. All right, let's look at the next sentence. Furthermore, young people feel loneliness as being abused and rejected by others. In this case, people outside have treated this person in a rejecting manner. Okay, does everybody understand this word redundant? Redundant means you already said that. You don't have to say it again. Okay, so you already said abused and rejected by others. Why do you want to say this sentence? Because this is redundant. You've already said it. Don't say it 2 times. Just say it 1 time. You don't want to be redundant. Okay. Oh, here's something that I wanted to let you know. A lot of people don't know this unless you're a professional writer. But all modern style guides recommend 1 space after a period. 1 space after a period, not 2. It used to be 2 when we used typewriters. We don't use typewriters anymore. We use computers. Typewriters had a problem because sometimes when the key would come up to strike the paper, they would get stuck after a period. So they would do 2 spaces after a period. But when we quit using typewriters, everybody said just 1 space after a period. So that's an important thing to know. And if anyone says, no, it's 2, you do this. You say, well, this says 1 space. Or you can say, this says 1 space. Or you can say, this says 1 space. Or you can say, this says 1 space. Okay, so that is your authority. That's where you can be the winner in the argument about how to write. Okay, and then you can look at the other person and say, what style guide are you following? Are you following one from 1956? Okay, because I'm following one that was published in 2021. Okay, so that's where style guides can help you. Okay, so 1 space after a period, everybody, not 2, just 1. Okay, be careful about that. By the way, you can tell when people are using 2 spaces after a period, because when you look at a page where people are using 2 spaces, you see what are called white worms. And the white worms are the white spaces that are bigger than they should be. And you can follow the white spaces through the page because there's too many spaces. So all modern style guides recommend 1 space after a period. Okay. By the way, in the United States, when we want to say the number 1, we use this finger, 1. In Germany, they use the thumb, and they'll say 1. Okay. So if you go to Germany and say, if you order 1 beer, they'll give you 2 beers because they're going, oh, 1, 2. So in the United States, we say 1. What do you say? Do you say 1 or do you say 1? You say 1. Okay. Okay. Just be careful where you go in the world, how you say 1. All right. Okay. Here's another sentence. Hence, teenagers should spend hardly any time with use, technology, and social network. Okay, just I didn't write this, but the word hence is correct, but nobody says that anymore. Okay, that's antiquated. Um, you'll sound like either a very old person or a very formal person if you use hence. Um, say something like and so or because or something like that. But anyway, let me fix this sentence. Here's how I recommend that you fix it. Teenagers should substantially reduce the time they spend using technology. Okay? So this person used kind of, I mean, I understand this sentence. I do. I understand it. But I would say that this would be the way to say it better. Substantially reduce. Okay, reduce. We had that word in the Kahoot today. You know, we should reduce the cost of college, for example. And substantially is an adverb modifying reduce, meaning a lot. So that word substantial and substantially is a word that you can use to mean a lot. Okay. You could use the word drastically, but drastically is a little bit more extreme. If you want to say, well, I think you should do it a lot, you could use the word substantial or substantially. Okay. I have to remind you that I think that your writing is very good. Now, there is one problem with this sentence that is a serious problem, and that is the verb. Does anybody see what's wrong with this verb? Anybody? Teenagers should spend hardly any time with use.
I think that the word use need to add the suffix ing.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Using is the gerund, which um, makes it, well, you need the gerund here. Spend hardly any time with using technology. That is the act of use. Use is a noun. Using is a verb and a gerund. So yeah, that's exactly right. Okay. All right. Well, I see that it is 9:13. Why don't we take a short break and we will come back and continue looking at this. Take just a couple of minutes, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, no more than 5. Okay. Let's take I'll put it in chat, a short break. And I will see you in a few minutes. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Oh, we've got babies in class now. Mm. Okay, everyone, let's get back together. Oh, I told you that I would take a picture of some of the trees in my yard. In the United States, we usually say yard, not garden. And so I took a picture of some of the trees. Here is a tree that is blooming right now in Atlanta. It's a very popular and pretty tree in Atlanta. It's called a dogwood tree, and it has white flowers, white blossoms. It's called a dogwood tree. And it's also in the next picture. You can see a dogwood that's in the yard, but you can also see that there are some very, very tall trees in my yard. Very tall. Okay. Maybe even
I,
as tall as some of the trees in Vietnam. I don't know.
so I guess you have a like a large yard, a big yard.
Um, it's um, it's normal for the United States. It's not by American standards. It's normal. But yes, it depends on where you live. Like for Germany, it would be a very big yard. Yeah. Um, for France, it would be a very big yard. For any European country, it would be big. I don't know about Vietnam, so you could tell me if you want about. But this is, I can tell you this. This is in the back of my house. So I would call
Oh.
this the backyard. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's bigger than this, but I just wanted to show you how big the trees are in Atlanta. There are lots of,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
my father also plant a lot of tree on his garden, but my our garden is just a small one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, and that's true in the United States too. Some people have a very, very big yard, and some people like trees and some people don't like trees, you know. The person who lives next door to me cut down all of the trees in their yard. All of them. 13 trees. But I like trees. I don't want to cut them down. I would,
Yeah, amazing.
yeah, it is amazing. This dogwood tree is in my front yard.
Yeah,
You can also see some flowers that come from your part of the world. We call them azaleas. Do you see the pink flowers?
yeah.
Yeah, I think, azaleas are not native to the United States. They come from Asia. So I'll show you some other azalea pictures maybe tomorrow. But
Okay.
yeah, I made even more coffee. All right, so let's talk about this. Um, Results from a recent study show that young people have a higher prevalence of loneliness than other age groups. Okay, the problem with this sentence, it's a good sentence. It's just that this word prevalence, you don't talk about a person or even people having a prevalence. When you talk about a prevalence, you want to be talking about a large number of people. Okay, so I would recommend that you would say either this, young people are increasingly showing signs of loneliness. Or if you want to use that word prevalence, you need to get to something bigger, like the teen population. Okay. So results from a recent study show that there is a growing prevalence of loneliness in the teen population. Um, so you can use that word prevalence with the word population, but you don't want to use prevalence with just people. Okay. Um, it's a good word. Just use it with something that is something that could be studied scientifically, like a population. Okay, where you could get data. If you're going to talk about an individual or if you want to talk about young people, I would just say young people are increasingly showing signs, okay, of loneliness. Um, Sometimes I can give advice about writing without knowing exactly why I would prefer that. But I try very hard to come up with not just, what I would do, but why. So I really think that the reason you shouldn't use prevalence this way is because it's not a big enough group of people. Okay. Because when you use prevalence, you want to use something that really could be studied, um, like a population. Okay. Okay. Um, and if you, by the way, do you have a good dictionary? Um, some dictionaries are better than other dictionaries. Uh, there is, let me see, let me stop for a minute. I'll stop sharing. Remind me that I stopped sharing. Um, like I'm a big fan of dictionaries. I like to read dictionaries. I don't just read for hours at a time, but if I look up a word, I will probably look at two or three words near it just to see what's there. But I have
It's
lots. Are you the same?
yeah, it sounds a little bit weird.
Yeah, it is. And I'm a little bit weird. Okay. Most people I know don't read the dictionary. So, but I did want to just tell you that um, I have several different dictionaries, and some are better than others. Um, and I will share this one with you. This one is free and easy and online. It is called the Free Dictionary, and Okay, I'm going to look up this word, and this is free, quick, easy, and also I can see how to pronounce the words here because I can click on the little loudspeaker and I can see the American pronunciation and I can see the British pronunciation. So let's try it.
Economics.
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 Economics. Okay, so you can see the difference. Can you hear the difference?
Economics.
Economics.
Yes.
Okay, and
I
then
can hear yes.
here's the standard pronunciation that they recommend for this. This is from the United States, so
Economics.
you can see they show that the E is short here by having this symbol above it, meaning short. And the British, it shows that it's acceptable to also say that E as a long E, economics. Okay, so this is a free dictionary, um, and it's okay. You know, it gives you some good information. Um, it will sometimes give you, like if you want to look at related words, it gives you lots of that. Okay. Here's some quotes. Um, but my preference is for the American Heritage Dictionary. So let me see if I can find that. Let me Google it. I have the book at home, which I use. I bought it in the year 2000, I think. I don't buy dictionaries as books anymore, but I do want you to see. If you're writing American English, this is the dictionary that I prefer. It's the American Heritage Dictionary. Okay. Um, and this is for American English. Also, if you want the biggest English dictionary in the world, then you would go to the Oxford English Dictionary or the OED. So weird people like me who love dictionaries, this is the um, this is the holy grail of dictionaries. This is the best English language dictionary in the world. And people who know it and love it call it the OED or the Oxford English Dictionary. It is not free. You have to pay money to have use of it. And me being weird, I pay for it. So I can look up words. Um, I can sign in. I won't do it, but this is the best English language dictionary in the world. And it is so big that if you were to buy it in books, you would have to have like 20 books that are about this big. Okay. So the OED is the best English dictionary in the world, and it will give you lots and lots and lots of information. Oh, and one other thing I would like to show you is if you want to know where words come from, English words, ET, etim online. E-T-Y-M, etymon. Yeah. Okay, so this is it's free, and it's a very interesting way to look at where English words come from. And the English word for the history of a word is etymology. Okay, not to be confused with entomology, which is studying insects. This is etymology, E-T-Y-M, ology. Ology means the study of, and etymology is the study of where words come from. Okay. Um, Somebody give me an English word that you want to know about. Like, where did it come from? What's an English word that you're curious about? Any word. Come on, somebody give me an English word.
I type it in the chat.
Oh, I can't see chat, so I'll have to stop sharing to see chat. Bureaucratic. Okay, you got it. All right, now let me share again. Thank you for sharing. Uh-oh. Okay, I forgot how to spell bureaucratic. B-E-A-U-R, no? Gosh, I've forgotten how to spell it. That's crazy.
B-U-R-E-A-U.
B-U-R-A-U. Okay.
C-R-A-T-I-C.
Okay. Why don't we do this? Why don't we start with bureaucrat? And I'm pretty sure this word comes from French, but let's start with bureaucrat, and then we can go to bureaucratic. Okay. Okay, it's French. Okay. Bureaucrat is a noun, member of a bureaucracy. This word was first used in 1839 from French bureaucrate, see bureaucracy. Okay, here's the word bureaucracy. Government by bureaus, especially tyrannical officialdom, excessive multiplication of administrative bureaus, and concentration of power in them. Okay, anyway, you can see bureaucratization, bureaucratize. Okay, anyway, you can see where these words come from. Okay, it doesn't show bureaucratic, but it shows lots of words related to that. Does anybody have another word they want me to do? You say it, don't put it in chat. What about um, how about an animal that lives in Atlanta? A raccoon. A raccoon. Let's see where that comes from. Raccoon, a small plantigrade carnivorous quadruped common in the warmer parts of North America. Oh, it's from a Native American word, Algonquin or Powhatan. Okay, so the people who first lived in the United States, we call them Native Americans. For a long time, we call them Indians, but that's a false name. They are not Indians; they are Native Americans, and they come from lots of different there are lots of different tribes of Native Americans. So this word came from a Native American language. Okay. All right. Now let me go back and share. But anyway, be careful with your dictionaries. Be sure to use a dictionary that you trust. And some are better than others, and some will give you usage notes. The American Heritage Dictionary is very good about telling you how to use a word. So if you're going to be a serious writer, you want to have a serious English dictionary. Excuse me. Somebody said they thought I had a sore throat. I told them I'm just talking too much. It's what happens to teachers who begin teaching after not teaching for a while. Okay, let's look at this sentence. Let me turn off these. Okay. Loneliness can also be attributed to internal factors such as low self-esteem. People who lack confidence in themselves often believe that they are unworthy of the attention or regard of other people, which can lead to isolation and chronic loneliness. This is a very well written paragraph. So whoever wrote it, I congratulate you. I couldn't find anything to improve in this paragraph. So I was very frustrated. No, I'm just kidding. I was very happy because I like to find good examples of things that you wrote. Oh, there are lots of them, but this is one of the best that I found. Loneliness can also be attributed to internal factors such as low self-esteem. That sentence follows the KISS principle. Keep it short and sweet, right? People who lack confidence in themselves often believe that they are unworthy of the attention or regard of other people, which can lead to isolation and chronic loneliness. That's a very well written paragraph, okay? Two very well written sentences, okay? Any questions? Okay. Let's go to this sentence. This is an example from Essay 3, Group 4. And this person wrote, if we observe around us, it can be said that the increasing demand of work has forced people lean into work in an amount of time, so the precious time with family will be decreased. I understand every bit of that. I understand it, but I would not write it that way. I would delete all of this because it doesn't really say anything. If we observe around us, well, we are always observing around us. So why should I talk about observing around us? We always observe around us. It can be said. Well, what's the point of saying it can be said? There's no information of any value in any of this. So I would just delete it because it's fairly meaningless. Okay, this is what I would call fluff. So get rid of the fluff. All right, I would recommend if you said the increasing demands, okay, Usually you use demand in the plural. You can use it in the singular, but when you're talking about work, I would use it in the plural because when you're talking about work, you're talking about um, being at work at an office or a place where you do your work. Um, and you're talking about time. You have to give of your time. You have to get an education or training to do your work. So that's why you usually use that word in the plural, the demands of work. Okay. And then I would say, like, I thought this person had a good message, has forced us to increase time at work to forfeit precious time with our family. Is everybody familiar with this word forfeit? Forfeit means to give up. Okay. To give up. Okay. Like,
So can we replace the precious time by the quality time?
yes, you could. I kind of liked that word, that use of that word precious time. Um, quality time is also good. Precious is it's like an extreme word. Quality time is not an extreme word. Quality time is kind of it's okay. But I kind of liked the use of that word precious because it tells me that that person really loves their family. So, yeah, if you were writing, um, it depends on your writing style and who your audience is. And by the way, that is the number one rule of writing is know your audience. The number one rule of writing, know your audience. Okay? Because if you are writing to your professor, that's one thing. But if you go out and you get a job and you're writing an article to, like, in a newspaper, then you need to know about who your audience is. Who reads that newspaper? Is it old people or young people? Is it mostly women or is it mostly men or is it both? So you have to know your audience. That's the number one rule for writing. So it depends. If you were writing a more scientific or a more academic article, I would say yes, use quality time. But if you're writing to, um, let's say you're writing to your peers, you're writing to your fellow students, for example, when you say precious time, that gets your attention. Precious is a kind of an extraordinary word. Um, 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 do you ever watch the Lord of the Ring movies? You ever
Yes.
watch?
Yes.
Okay. Remember what Smeagol calls the ring? Precious. Remember that? the the ring, the golden ring, he calls it precious, So precious means something that is very valuable to you and you want it. Okay. So it's not a word that you would use often because it's such a high value word. Okay. But I kind of liked the way that person used the word precious. Okay. Um, let's look at this one. What pages? 2. Okay. Parents should spend a lot of time taking care of children, teaching them how to respect, behave, and giving advice. This is a good sentence, but it needs a little help. Okay. I recommend parents should spend a lot of time, and you need to get rid of this word. You don't want to say to taking. You want to just say spend a lot of time taking care of children, teaching them how to show respect to others. Okay, I'm going to mute somebody here. Sorry. I wouldn't say and giving advice. I would just say and behave appropriately and finish there, because giving advice is like, well, what advice? So this is the advice that I think you mean, to show respect to others and behave appropriately. Okay, so we do use that word in English with our children, like, oh, that's something I wanted to show you. Um, I wanted to show you my children. But when my children were young, I could just, if we were in the grocery store, I could just say behave, and they knew what I meant. But if you're writing, you probably don't want to use that word just by itself. Let me go. Let me see if I can share something with you real quick here. Just so that I can tell you a little bit more about me, I wanted to show you a picture. This is me and my sons. They are twins, and they are fraternal twins. They are not the same. So this is my son, Casey, and this is my son, Mackenzie. And they are now, well, let's see, their birthday is this month, and they will be 32 years old, which I can't believe. And this is Mackenzie's car. Mackenzie bought this. If you like cars, you'll like this car. It is a red Chevrolet Corvette. Okay, so if you like cars, you'll like this car. It's a Corvette. Okay, and Casey, well, both of my sons work, but and both Mackenzie plays bass guitar, and Casey is a rock and roll drummer, and he also plays guitar. Just so that you know something about me. This was taken like about 2 years ago at Christmas time.
So, what do you want to give them in their birthday?
That's a good question. Uh, I have given them many, many, many gifts over the years. A lot of times I'll give them, well, in the past, I've given them musical instruments, laptop computers, lots of different things. But now that they're 32 years old, I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it.
So, what do you like when you were 32?
Um, well, guitars. I like guitars. Uh, yeah, so guitars, music, things like that. But do you think that they look like me?
To be honest, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay. Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay. Good, good, good. All right. Let's go back to work. That's Casey and Mackenzie. All right. Now, let me go back to sharing. Okay. Let's look at this one. There is no doubt that by adopting traditional ways of living and by being more attentive towards them, we can help them to live an active life. Okay, I'm just going to read what I wrote here, what I recommend. This is a good sentence, but I suggest another line of thinking. Instead of recommending adopting traditional ways of living, think about the fact that change might just be inevitable. Think about suggesting ways that people might adapt, not adopt. So use your conclusion to suggest some clever ways to adapt. Do a little research. Search something like work-life balance or something similar to that. And then do your best to inform your reader with good ideas that have been used successfully by others. So serious writers do more than just putting words on a page. They show that they have put some thought into it. So where it's a good sentence, I just think that you owe your reader your best thinking and your best research. So if you were to Google work-life balance, there would be a ton of information. Now you would want to go to a reliable source, a source that you trust, and see what other people have done, and then take what you think are the best ideas, rather than just going back in time. Think about going forward in time, because that's what you want to do with your reader. You want to go forward in time. If you wanted to go backward in time, you would write about the way things used to be. Now, I truly believe that progress is not always progress. Just because we have books online doesn't mean that I'm going to do all of my reading online, because one reason that we like books, okay, so somebody said you also like to read books, is because when I'm at work all day, I spend all day looking at a computer monitor. And when I'm relaxing in the evening, I don't want to look at a computer monitor. I would rather look at a book. So, uh, you know, just because here's another thing that I like to tell. This is something that I tell my children. Okay. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Okay. All right. So this is just a way of saying think before you act, you know. Um, okay, so it is 10:02. It's time to finish class. We will pick back up again tomorrow. I know that tomorrow is Saturday, but they have asked me to be in class on Saturday, so I will be here. And if you will join me, that'll be wonderful. The same time, okay? So 7 o'clock at night, your time. And I will be here tomorrow. So any questions or comments before we finish? It's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, the lesson today is so helpful for me. So thank you so much for
Okay.
today. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that comment. I
And
appreciate that.
yeah, I want to tell you something that I am a enthusiast. So yeah,
You're a
so
what enthusiast?
book
A book
enthusiast.
enthusiast. Good. Okay, good.
Yeah. So I really enjoy reading book under the candlelight.
Okay.
So I think that you maybe give it a try.
Yeah. Yeah, I like books. Um, okay. Well, everybody, thank you for being here today. It's an honor working with you. Thank you. And
Thank you so much.
I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Adios.
Goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen. Adieu.
Bye.
Yeah. See ya.
See you later. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting now. Bye, everybody.